How dare you bring your bastard children into this house? Get out of my sight!
You think you know the people you love? Until one moment shatters everything. One man lay broken on the road, watching his world reveal its true face. And what the quiet maid did next changed every life forever. Asterisk, he lay still on the cold asphalt. Rain soaking into his tailored coat, his breath shallow and uneven. Blood ran from his temple, warm against the unforgiving street. Around him, headlights froze, phones lifted, voices whispered. But his eyes were open, watching, measuring, testing. This was not an accident. The millionaire had planned every detail. The curve of the road, the timing of the car, the hidden camera across the street, even the twins waiting at home, asleep in their matching beds. He wanted to know the truth before he married her, before he trusted anyone with his children, and now the truth was stepping closer in heels that did not hurry. His fiancée stood at the edge of the crowd, one hand pressed to her mouth, the other gripping her purse. Her face showed shock, but her eyes scanned the scene like a balance sheet. She looked at the man on the ground, then at the car, then at the people watching. She did not kneel. She did not touch him. She did not call his name. A stranger dropped to his knees first. Someone with torn jeans and tired eyes. Someone who did not know him. The millionaire felt something twist in his chest. Not pain. Something colder. Across town, in the quiet kitchen of the estate, the maid stopped washing a plate. The fork slipped from her fingers and clattered into the sink. She had felt it, a sudden pressure in her chest, like a warning. Like the echo of something she had felt once before. Long ago, her name was Alina. She was small, gray-haired, and invisible to most. She moved through the mansion like a shadow, cleaning rooms that never noticed her hands. But she had raised the twins more than anyone knew. She had kissed scraped knees, wiped tears in the dark, and hummed old songs when nightmares came. She dried her hands slowly, took off her apron, and walked out the door. Years earlier, Alina had stood in a different place, under a burning sky. The smell of smoke and metal still lived in her memory. She had not been a maid then. She had been a field nurse in a war that never made headlines. She learned how to stop bleeding with shaking hands, how to speak calmly while everything inside screamed. She learned that silence could save lives. She had lost her son there, a boy with kind eyes who had followed her into service because he believed in helping others. When he died, something inside Alina went quiet. Not empty, focused. That silence followed her home. It followed her into the mansion when she took the job no one else wanted. Long hours, low pay, no questions. The millionaire had noticed her once. Just once, the day his wife died. Alina had stood beside the twins, holding them steady while the world fell apart. She had not cried. She had not spoken. She had simply been there. Now, on the street, the crowd grew restless. Someone shouted for an ambulance. Someone else argued about fault. The fiancée took a step back, already dialing her lawyer instead of emergency services. Her voice was calm, controlled. The man on the ground watched it all through half-lidded eyes. He had built companies from nothing. He knew how to read people. But this was different. This was raw. This was who they were when they thought no one was judging. The twins' mother had loved fiercely. She would have been on the ground already, hands shaking, heart breaking. The woman standing now was not her. Minutes stretched. Rain fell harder. The stranger with torn jeans pressed his jacket against the wound. The millionaire wanted to reach out, to thank him, but he stayed still. This was the test. A siren wailed in the distance at last. Relief moved through the crowd like a breath released. The fiancé straightened, ready to perform concern now that help was coming. That was when Alina arrived. No one noticed her at first. A small woman pushing through bodies, her shoes soaked, her hair plastered to her face. But when she reached the man on the ground, she stopped. She knelt without hesitation. Her hands were steady as she checked his pulse, his breathing. Her touch was firm, practiced. She tore a strip from her own sleeve and pressed it against his head. Her eyes met his. And in that moment, he knew she understood everything. "You are not alone," her gaze said. "Stay still. Breathe." The fiancée stepped forward then, irritation flashing across her face. She asked who this woman was. She told her to move. She said professionals were coming. Alina did not look up. She did not argue. She did not explain. She stayed. The crowd fell quiet. There was something about her stillness, something that commanded space without demanding it. When the ambulance arrived, the medics paused. They took in the scene, the bleeding already controlled, the man stable. They nodded at Alina with respect. As they lifted him onto the stretcher, his hand brushed hers. A small squeeze. "Thank you." At the hospital, the truth came out quickly. The injuries were serious but not life-ending. The cameras were found. The plan unraveled. The fiancée was furious. She said she had been tricked, humiliated. She said love should not be tested. He listened in silence. Then he asked her one question. "Why did you not kneel?" She had no answer that did not expose her. The engagement ended that
day.
Quietly. Firmly. The twins visited him in recovery. They climbed onto the bed, careful of the tubes. They told him Alina had made soup. Alina had stayed up all night. Alina had held their hands and told them he would be okay. He closed his eyes, feeling something heavy lift from his chest. Weeks later, he called Alina into his office. She stood with her hands folded, eyes down. Expecting nothing, he told her everything. The plan, the test. The street. For the first time, Alina spoke of her past, of the war, of her son, of the silence she carried. He listened, truly listened. "You saved my life," he said. "Not on the street. Long before, with my children, with your quiet care." He offered her more money than she had ever seen. Title: A Public Thank You. She shook her head gently. She asked for one thing only: security for the twins, education, safety, love, he promised. From that day on, Alina was no longer invisible. But she did not change. She still moved quietly, still listened more than she spoke. The twins grew stronger, kinder. They learned by watching her. Years later, when people asked the millionaire how he knew who to trust, he would answer with words that spread far beyond his world. "Character is what you do when you think no one is watching." Another line followed, shared by thousands. "Silence is not weakness. Sometimes it is the loudest truth." At the estate, there is a small garden now. A bench under an old tree. A simple stone with one name carved into it. Elena's son. She sits there sometimes, feeling the sun on her face, listening to laughter from the house. The accident that never was had revealed everything. Love that was shallow. Loyalty that was real. Strength that did not need applause. And in the end, the unthinkable act was not cruelty or betrayal. It was quiet courage, because sometimes the one who saves everything is the one no one sees coming. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from. Tell us what silent strength means to you. And subscribe for more stories that honor the unseen heroes among us.